Greetings. My birth name is Kim Sobel Christensen, born on the 27th September 1960. I was born in Denmark and moved to Australia in 1970. I'm known by the name as Kim Sobel Christensen throughout my life in Australia for 47 years. I was unlawfully deported from Australia. I've got an open visa and cannot be deported. They cancelled BFED transfers and visa. They threatened three lots of lawyers so I couldn't get to court. I was unlawfully deported. I was in the biggest Star Chamber inquiry on the 1st of January 1999. One of the biggest constructed court cases in human history anywhere in the world. The Star Chamber inquiry. I was the most wanted in the underground world with 105 people arrested inside this Star Chamber inquiry. I became the most wanted criminal in Australian history. In this inquiry, the one of a kind. And there's a lot of information why. I was unlawfully deported. I never committed an evil act. In fact, we created what's called a truth serum. The most powerful truth serum in the world in biblical history. Now, in Australia, you can see on Google, it's called Whiz, right? It's a magic potion in biblical history called flake, right? Or wafer. Moses gave it to the Israelites in the desert. Okay, it's on Sumerian tablets. I've read all the products to this because it's involved in MBK Ultra and the mocking program with the Looking Glass program with the militaries. Now I took over the two top sons from NASA, constructing all these plans. I was number one in the underground world. And we created the organic drug that has no human side effect when they created all the synthetic ones. Now, methamphetamine, they sent 10 ton amphetamine to Amsterdam, Florida, every month for 14 years between 1980 and 1994. Then we implemented the first laws in Australia, and they arrested the Burrows in the Burrows case in New Farm, Brisbane. You can Google this stuff. Hitler created a happy pill that 80% of the population was on up till 1980, and they deemed pseudoephedrine to be dangerous, but not methamphetamine. So it was legal up to 1994 until we imposed these laws. It was deemed to be the safest drug in the world, but not with synthetic products. But methamphetamine is a reduction. It takes the impurities out. It's actually safer than pseudoephedrine. That's why they did not deem them to be dangerous. Only pseudoephedrine used, right, in other products. So that was taken off the shelf. Reality is this: in 2016, Tony Abbott, the Prime Minister of Australia, did a mandatory urine test on government's authorities defence force, and 78% is on meth. The world's on meth 95%. No one believes in it. They can't cope. It's a truth serum. It's also an enlightenment drug, and the most powerful human ability, right, would create superhuman abilities. Believe it or not, Hitler used it in the armies. They created the kamikaze, the most evil suicide squad in the world with this drug. It's registered bioweapon, and iodine crystals comes in graphene oxide serum. It's iodine graphene oxide gel, registered by Darwin Biotech as mRNA technology. So you know what that means? Let me tell you something. It's in methamphetamine, ADHD medication, and drug delivery systems all over the world. It's also in food preservatives, zinc, iron, magnesium, vitamin C, B12. It's iron. It's iodine. Okay, do you understand that? You put it on scratches and bruises. You consume it all the time. When people say it's deadly and dangerous, it's a placebo effect. And COVID vaccine placebo side effects you can read on Google. It's a placebo effect. We studied this medication. I know more about the adverse effect from these things than anyone else in the world does because of the mindset they're in. And the placebo effect that causes psychosis, right? You don't understand this. The world has psychosis declared in 1999 in post-human states. No one believes in it. Well, that's a primary problem of climate. You strip from your biological genes to use your natural medicines, and meth is a truth serum that activates the 24th chromosome with these abilities. That's what these psycho programs is all about in the militaries. Now, I'm going to tell you something critical, because it is critical. This book here was stopped in 2004 by the authorities in Australia. When I took down the highest dead time hair cocaine, gang killing and violence and domestic violence, right, in 30 years, that caused the Royal Commission that's still paying out today for people taking off the kids to go into homes to get raped and bashed. The marketing strategy. I unearthed everything with court jargon in the courtrooms and won nearly every single court case. And my court case, when I was sentenced for 10 years, was to sign a corruption. My own arresting officer commends me on his affidavit, subject to perjury, and says it loud and clear in my second mention. In a money laundering case in 2004, it's proven that I'm the only one telling the truth in a Supreme Court examination. I gave 90% of my money away, millions of dollars, when they were trying to set me up for corruption, coercion, collusion, with treasoning. I got him under that act in the first Star Chamber inquiry for treasoning upon the public. So I unearthed that the Star Chamber inquiry, and the biggest think tank in the world, was committing treasoning. The Federal Police and the National Crime Authority went to Parliament House to seek authority to use the biggest think tank. That's NASA and NSA, right? NCA and ACC in Pine Gap, F51 Australia, the biggest think tank in the world. I was the most wanted. Now, they're suppressing me the most and unlawfully deported me. Now, I came back into Australia after being deported, and I wrote in 6 international letters that I'll come through this and God will create the most powerful in modern history. And now that's rock solid evidence, created in solid evidence, not on one camera, on CCTV, yet I'm reached the highest level. I wasn't on one camera, but every person was. The most powerful evidence ever created in modern history, because I'm one of a kind. The biggest mastermind by the biggest thinking in the world, because I can do things 7 times faster than they can. They studied this. They had me in major surveillance. They could see that I could respond 7 times faster than they can think through the atmosphere with the universal language, codependent feelings, mastermind. A mastermind of what? Mental telepathy and ESP, remote viewing, telekinesis, and I could feel them coming. When they put my name on the documents to get a warrant, they discovered that with direction microphones. You don't believe in it? Let me tell you something. I'm one of a kind on every document. My biological evidence proves it as well. I've been dead 3 times, clinically dead, brought someone back to life 3 times with peer reports, and that kind of study done with 24 chromosomes. And you can see that with Jason Shirker when he interviews Ray from the same programs, from Mockingbird programs, that's also woken up from amnesia. A lot of people have amnesia, right? And they're starting to discover their tools. And that's how we discovered through these programs. And let me tell you something. I was designed for this specific moment for a lot of information, and it's very critical. This book here, The Testimony of Drug Reborn, let me tell you something. There's not a lot of books that hits 5 stars. This got 5 stars immediately. One person said, oh, he thinks he's Christ, right? In that mindset, that dropped the star on Amazon's. There are 11 book companies all over the world that's done personal reviews on this book. And it has got the most outstanding results and rates by top book companies all over the world. I'm suppressed by the whole system more than you understand, by NASA, NATO, and suppressing one of the most critical things in the world. Every top scholar in the world and every Nobel Prize winner says the same thing I do, because I have the biological evidence in my DNA. I have the tools, the most powerful tools on earth, out of 113 people, recorded with DNA biological evidence. Right? So you've got to listen to me carefully, because I'm telling you right now, the top Nobel Prizes, Einstein, Hawkins, Plato, the greatest philosopher of all time, all said the same thing as Christ did. It's a natural selection of life, a natural order with your natural ganomascus, with your 27 senses. You can only use 5. You're trapped in mind and consciousness, in Christ's consciousness and all those abilities. That traps you from not doing these things. And that means you're in post-human stage and suffer the human condition because you're trapped in the skull, in the mind, and suffer stress, fear, anxiety, confusion, frustration, illusion, and paranoia, and you've been brain knocked on a lot about as well. 95% of people take drugs because they can't cope. That goes for every human being on earth. And I can bring you more evidence than you understand about something critical. Parasites in every human being on earth. It's a worm inside the mind. It's called a delusional parasitosis, right? That's the rel. That's absolutely the serpent in the mind. The voice that's inside your mind that's ultimately scientific extinction, declared in documents all over with biological evidence and DNA studies done. You were told in 1999 you're in post-human stage, right? And you know what's ironic about this? Is you went into species denial by 2003. You were told you had to change mindset by 2012. They saw it in the looking glass. And we were involved in all this. I know the future. I wrote the future, and I was right. They stopped my book in 2004. The authorities did. I'm on the front page of the paper on the 18th of January 2001, the Brisbane Courier Mail, with the shipping container fully loaded with guns. And big black writing says, these are the guns that disarmed Australia in 1996, and taxpayers paid to be destroyed. What are they doing in our hands on the front page 5 years later? How come I'm in charge of the 2 most powerful scientists in the world that caused all these problems and reversed their plan? And we got the guns. Because we fought tooth and nail against the Freemasons and the Anunnakis from the Sky Council, right? The Sky Council for the Sarcham inquiry. And you don't believe in it? You've never met them before in your life. They're the people that run this world. And I stood right up against the biggest comprehensive decisions that they ever made and became the most wanted, standing up against the Illuminati, the Anunnaki, the Rel. Your second chromosomes had an intervention on every study done. And you follow an evolution mutation, the mindset you live in. You don't believe in that? That's because you're trapping your mind with death effect. Brain fog, death effect with mind control. By believing in your own mind, trapped inside your personality. But you can't think instinctively and think outside the mind. They told you that in the Matrix documentary. Those that think instinctively tune out program. How many people think can do that? Only the masterminds in the world. 130 of us left. And you don't believe in it? Well, they suppress us the most, don't they? And then they bring biological evidence out with scientists, professors, and good mouthpieces all over the world that can't teach you these things because they don't have that experience with knowledge. They can't do none of these things. Only the masterminds can. They're elected for this. And it's a natural selection in life. And what's astonishing about this, the top all intelligence is a natural selection. But guess what? Guess what? Your government signing with WF that says they're taking out the natural selection in life and replacing with intelligent design with AI, artificial intelligence, and alien invasion inside your mind with a web that's opened up a porthole to a personality. And that's the mind you set into with a trap in your mind, right? With a rel in your mind. And that's a worm that's called a delusional parasite, parasitosis. And you don't believe in it? You're not even qualified to judge. You can only 7 to 9% of your mind. 99% of people is going to fail this because they can't think outside the mind. And we teach this. We cure every mental source and DNA defects because every single thing you die from stress-related diseases is trapped inside the mind, in the skull, with the rel, and evolution mutation. Right? That means you're using the hybrid bloodline and you die from stress-related diseases by the time you're 80, prematurely. These people live to be 400 years old, 10 feet tall, and I have their bloodline recorded with the top biologists in the whole world. The most authentic tools and the most authentic biology with the most authentic DNA. That means to make the right decision with the right motor skills, right? With my natural organic motor skills, with my 27 senses. And that repairs DNA and preserves lives. And that's the placebo effect that I create. As said by Dr. Bruce Lipton and Sally Study Research, and also Joe Dispenza with the placebo effect. I'm the one with the most powerful tools on the most powerful mastermind list. I'm the gatekeeper, the king of all kings in the underground world. Designed like this in my DNA. Now listen to me. This book here is the most powerful information in the world right now in the time again. You may not believe that. Trust me. This is one of the top rating books. And you know what? When somebody copies my videos and put them out there, I get 100,000 views in no time. I'm suppressed the most. When I come here 4 years ago, I had 24 million followers. Right? No more than a year ago, I had 2.5 million followers on Shadowban. They're oppressing me the most because nobody else can teach you these things. Only I can. Believe it or not. Jeremy Griffiths, the World Transformation Movement, is teaching the right tools with the world freedom that frees the human condition, the REL, the mindset, the human conditioning. When off the beaten programs won a Nobel Prize to recreate the sacred secretion, graphene oxide serum from your third eye that goes into serotonin to balance your pH out. To use your gut feeling, survival mode, the chakra, the very precious base of life with the Jacob's ladder. That's the Neuralink, the shiver in your spine, right? The pins and needles in your most eye to have all these abilities. Believe it or not, we have solid evidence for this. Listen to Jeremy Griffiths and the World Transformation Movement, right? This is a natural selection of life. And some people's trying to replace it with intelligent design that's inverted with a mutation in the bloodline. A mutation that's a rel, that's a worm inside their mind. A deluge. And the world's been deceived so much, they're all in delusion behavior with the wrong grammar and the wrong tools inverted on reverse psychology. Trust me, this is one time you've got to understand. This book is the most powerful information in the world, right, that I'm created for this moment with the most powerful evidence ever created in human history, right? I'm not just some idiot. I'm one of a kind. Trust me, you need to have faith. God created me for this moment for this very reason, and there's no one else on earth like me. This book here, right, should be the book because I'm telling you, they wanted to make a movie about this in 2004 and they stopped it and put 66 court orders, right, on every company to stop this. I came to Denmark, deported unlawfully, and wrote this book, and it's important that this book gets exposure. Thank you, guys.